Good morning, good afternoon to all the folks joining live, but also joining after the fact watching this recording. My name is Sheehan Fernando. I am the SVP of Global Sales here at Modern Requirements and Copilot for DevOps. And we have a very interesting session for you today. We're talking about conversational AI, the final frontier for DevOps. Now, as you may know, Modern Requirements has been a requirements management tool partnered with Microsoft for many, many years. And over the last couple of years, we've developed Copilot for DevOps, and we've had a prompt list experience, and then we've had the ability to have some prompts and fine-tune what you want out of the AI model and your data in DevOps. But now we're adding, as we just added in our latest version, the ability to have conversational chats with the AI model and, excitingly, your data. So today we have a bit of a different schedule. In terms of agenda, I'm going to share a little bit about our organization and who we are for the folks who are new to this recording or this live session. We are then going to have a quick little poll. I'd love to get your feedback. And in fact, we're using this new platform for the last couple of sessions. And I want to quickly highlight top right, there's a spot where you can click and chat, add reactions, stay engaged. If you have questions, pop them in there. If you have more technical questions, there's a little bubble on the right-hand side with a question mark. If you drop questions into that at the Q&A session at the end, we will be answering those questions. By chance, if we don't answer those questions by the end of the session, we will follow it up with a FAQ and the answers to your questions. And in terms of our agenda and why this session is going to be a little different, we thought about the folks on the team who are engaging our clients on a regular basis and speaking to them, whether they're in training sessions or in demos or coaching sessions, and looking at their experiences in using Copilot for DevOps and our new capability and some of the feedback they've gotten and some of the use cases that they're most excited about. So we're going to actually save that for the meat and potatoes of our session today. So high level, quick little intro of who we are for the new folks. Number two, Asif is our CTO and chief geek, the brains behind the architecture of what we do here at Modern Requirements and Copilot for DevOps. So we're going to have a chat about how we have improved and gotten to this exciting new frontier. And then we're going into the demos. And finally, we're going to close it out with some formal Q&A. Before we dive in to talking a little bit about who we are for the new folks, I'd love to hear where everyone's listening in from. So in the chat, if you can drop where you're calling in from today, that'd be great. Love to get a sense of where we have representation in the world. I'll give everyone a moment to do so. Okay. All right. Netherlands. Excellent. I know we have a few Canadians. Excellent. Regina, Canada, Utah in the States, Phoenix. We're actually going to be in Phoenix at BBC in June. DC area, China, Montreal. Wow, we have representation globally. So this is great. Thank you for joining. And Germany. Fantastic. All right. So for the folks who have not had exposure to Modern Requirements and Copilot for DevOps in the past, let me share a little bit about who we are. So Modern Requirements actually has been in business for over 20 years. And over the last decade, I would say closer to 13 years, we've been a Microsoft partner and available in the Azure Marketplace. We've been making requirements management tooling when Azure DevOps was known as TFS. So we've been around for a long time and really know this space and this domain and really helping organizations with complex projects, whether it be pharmaceuticals, whether it be public sector, whether it be defense, whether it be financial services. We've worked with all of these areas prior to us developing Copilot for DevOps. And 2 years back, we were working with Microsoft when the whole AI wave was hitting. And we raised our hand to say we would love to be the developer of Copilot for DevOps, an AI experience that can really help with the requirements management from end to end. And so Microsoft said, go for it. And so we were working with the Microsoft team, and we went down a different path from a design standpoint, which you're going to see in great detail kind of where we started, but also where we're at today as a leader in using AI in requirements management. In fact, our relationship with Microsoft has grown. Over the last couple of years, we've been getting highlights at Microsoft conferences. As a quick example, on the left-hand side, you see Nicole Dezen having us on a slide at Inspire in 2023. And in 2024, just last year, Kevin Scott, the CTO of Microsoft, had us on a slide here. You see me circling it, at Build. So in fact, our relationship with Microsoft is growing. We are available in the Azure Marketplace. If your organization has a MAC, a Microsoft Azure consumption commitment, anything that you purchase with us through the Marketplace actually will help benefit your overall Microsoft relationship. In terms of Copilot for DevOps, we're going to dive into some of those capabilities in just a moment. How familiar are you with using conversational AI in your DevOps processes? Very familiar or currently using it? Somewhat familiar but not using it yet? Heard of it but don't know much? And completely new to me? I might have spilled the tea on our second poll question. My apologies. All right, we'll give everyone a moment to lock in their answers. Okay. So it looks like people have dipped their toe in and tried it. They're somewhat familiar, heard of it. Looks to be the majority. Okay, so more than half has tried it and is familiar. But today you're actually going to learn a little bit more about it, and we're very excited to show and share. So in terms of, let me keep this moving. What we're looking at here are all the different capabilities that Copilot for DevOps brings into the Azure DevOps experience. And we're actually going to take a look at today, in more depth, our newest chat function, the ability to have a conversation with your data and refining your data. So with that being said, what I'd like to do now is like to introduce Asif Sharif, our chief technologist. And Asif, I have actually a couple of questions for you for the group. Have you jump on? Hey, Asif, thank you for joining.
Hey, guys.
So the game plan. We started off in 2023, November, launching Copilot for DevOps with a prompt-less experience to help people really start to get using AI in DevOps. And over the course of the last 17 months, we've been making big strides using it. And I'd love to get into your mind, and for the folks on the call and listening to this recording, we'd love to get into your mind on what you've seen as the evolution to get to this point, and what's the most exciting thing about being here and being able to have AI chat.
Yeah. So as we built out various capabilities of Copilot, what we found is people needed a quick way of doing certain things. So if you want to elicit requirements, you want to create test cases, you want to do risk analysis, Elicit is a great tool for doing it. But then people came to us and said, but what if I want to do this or do want to do that? And a lot of nuanced requests started to come in. And they led us to build Copilot for DevOps Chat. Now, what Chat is basically, as an extension to Azure DevOps, you can talk to Azure DevOps. Now, you can talk to the LLM as well, but you can also talk to Azure DevOps. So you can create your work items, you can create queries, you can create diagrams, you can create mockups. You can even create a Python code and have it run with your work item information and get you the results back. So obviously, this is our first version of the chat. And there's a lot more requests we have received now from our clients where they want to access more information of Azure DevOps from the chat interface.
I have a question for you. I'm going to go off script completely. What was a moment for you in developing, or at least conceptualizing AI chat in DevOps that was a real aha moment that we're onto something special? What was that? When did you, or what was it that you saw that really made you think that, wow, we're really onto something that's bleeding edge with respect to what's out there today, but really in helping even us get to the next level on our next version?
Yeah, yeah. Really, I think there were three different dimensions that came together for us. There's the agentic workflow momentum in the industry today. There's obviously the basic LLM foundation. There's the AI um, interface as a chat interface for users, and actually the fourth one is is um, the ADO integration. So the question was, could we bring all of these together in a cohesive interface and make it available to people? Which of course becomes extremely powerful. And one of the big challenges we faced with that was people try to do so many things. There's so many permutations that you have to test that it is nearly impossible to cover everything. So certainly with version one, I think you'll see that uh, a lot of interesting things, as you will see in the demos today, come together really well. And and this is just our baby step in this direction. I think we'll be adding a ton more into this. And the whole idea is you can have a fluid conversation with AI working with Azure DevOps. And that's the real power of this.
You said something there about having everything, harmonized and in one place. And as I think about our what has given modern requirement success over the last couple of decades is that we were really focused on creating that single source of truth within Azure DevOps, having smart docs and traceability and review management. But now the ability to have AI also be part of that single source of truth and to be able to speak to your data. Yeah, it's an exciting time. And in fact, I was on a call this morning with a gentleman in gaming, and he was looking at this and thinking, wow, so I can ask it what I'm missing? It's like, yeah, can you imagine asking your data what it's missing and have it give you a response like, oh, you probably missed this and consider these things. So it was a very interesting demo, and I'm very excited to actually show the folks who are live with us now and on the recording after the fact some of these exciting new capabilities.
Yeah.
So
in fact, another quick example of that is, imagine talking to your work items and saying, what's lacking in you? Tell me how to fix it.
Yeah.
And now go fix it.
Right.
Right. So now you can delegate a lot of the work. And really the point of all of this is you know your business well. And as you know your business well, you can build solutions using AI to do a lot of the grunt work where you are directing it to go in the right direction and do the right things. So it really now becomes not, can you do the grunt work? In fact, the question becomes, can you not do the grunt work? That's the important thing. And so this is definitely a really important pivot in how we work with Azure DevOps.
One of the guys on the team actually asked me, he's like, what would be really interesting is to ask the folks who are live on the call right now, what would be the wildest prompt you'd like to ask Copilot4DevOps, ask of your data? And if you're thinking of one, drop it in the chat. We're interested here. You never know. By the end of this session, we might actually use that prompt or that question that you have of data and show it to you live. So if you have a prompt or a question that you would love to ask your data, what would it be? And drop it in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. So Asif, listen, we're about 15 minutes in. I think the people are going to be tired of watching us chat with each other. Let's dive in. I think we should show them some of the capabilities and show them what we're talking about.
All right, excellent. So I'm going to show you guys a few examples. And in the example, let me start with my first example. Okay. So I've done some chats, and the chats get saved, so I don't have to do the whole thing. And because what we want to do today is to show you guys a whole bunch of examples of what is possible. And we've got several people that are going to present their favorite use cases. Now, I'm dyslexic, so being visual is really important to me. I think visually, I understand visually. And so I asked Copilot4DevOps chat that helped me design a scalable architecture for cloud-based retail app. Okay. and it came up with this diagram for me. Okay, so these are the different modules of it and how they all connect together. And then it asked me, do you want me to convert this to an image? And I said, yeah, let's do an image, because then I can copy the image and paste it elsewhere or whatever. So then it converted that into an image. And then I told him to create an epic of the topic, and give it a description and add the image to the description field. So it created this work item for me. So if I open this up, you will see that this work item was created and that image was put into the description field. And then I asked it, okay, what features do you think this epic needs? And it came up with these features. And so I said, yeah, fine, go and create it. And so it created these features. And if you go here, you will see that all of those features are linked to the epic. And then I told him, hey, you know what? Give me a mind map of the key concepts we have covered in this conversation. So it created a mind map for me from there. So you can see how having an intelligent conversation with Copilot for DevOps can really enhance your ability. So you can actually be having an intelligent conversation with a bot and create your work items and link work items and all kinds of other things. So that's one example. In the other example, what I did here was I told it that I wanted to create an epic for user management, okay, and that to give it a description, but put an image of the flowchart. So this time I did not tell him to create the flowchart first and then I validated and so on, but I told him to do all of that at once. And so it actually created that work item and put in the flowchart in the work item description. And then I said, hey, give me 3 related AI features for this epic. So it told me what they were. And then I told him to go publish it. So it published those work items and have it linked to the epic. And then I told him, give me a sequence diagram for that. So it created a sequence diagram for it, okay, and so on and so forth. So in doing that, you can see how it's creating all kinds of artifacts. In fact, you can even go tell it to create not only diagrams visually in the chat, but you can actually tell it to create mock-ups, wireframes, and it will do that. Okay. So in this particular case, what I did was I gave it an image, and I basically took a Salesforce UI design guide document. I uploaded it. I said, okay, you know what? Let's use this as the underlying model and create these mock-ups for me. So it started to create those mock-ups for me. And then I can even tell him to create work items based on these mock-ups and put the mock-ups as images within the work item description field.
As a quick question for you while you're showing this, I know you used an attachment and you asked it some questions and it was able to digest it and give you a response. Stacking this, and this is really for the benefit for the people on the session as well as the recording after, is if you had bring your own data as well enabled, right? So combining bring your own data as well as an attachment, you can really get to a refined response that's considering the organization's unique intellectual property. Thoughts on that? And I just want to elaborate on that for the benefit of the folks watching us today.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Shian. So one of the features we have is bring your own data, and so you can upload your own documents, whether it's PDF, Word documents, Excel documents, um, and other types of files. You can reference wikis, and you can have it learn from your work items in your system. All of that becomes part of BYOD, bring your own data. Once you have configured that, that information can then be used only for yourselves, for your organization, in answering questions. That whenever you're working with the system, it will actually know all of that. So if you have a style or if you have some previous requirements, it might actually infer from it and build on what you already have developed in your organizations. So BYOD is a really powerful construct, a very powerful feature. Yeah.
I wanted to share that real quick, Asif, because one of the things with using AI is that when you're using the API, and one of the big questions that we get often is our data safe? And so when using the API, folks, the learning is turned off, meaning that the system's not going to learn what you're doing. But by having bring your own data and by having AI chat enabled to add attachments, you're now able to iterate upon your own IP. And that's such a powerful way of interacting with your data in a very specific but also responsible way. But anyway, that's my piece, Asif. I'm going to go off camera and turn it back to you.
All right, guys. So just I'm going to show you one last thing. So in this particular example, I told him that I'm building a CRM application to give me a user journey map. So it's giving me this visual, and then I told him to create user stories based on that user story map, and so I started to flesh it out, and so on and so forth. Okay. And then I told him to publish those requirements as work items, and then I wanted it to create test cases, and it gave me my test cases with the test steps in it, and then I could publish it, and so on and so forth. Okay, so the one important point to note here is that these chats are saved as you have those conversations. After a while, it'll go into the old chats area. You can take a chat and you can put it under shared chats. So any chat you're creating is initially yours, unless you share it, and then others can also look at those chats. Okay. Whenever you want to do a new chat, you simply go here, new, and then you start to either you can select one of these, you can just start typing and start having your conversation with chat. The one thing you will note here is that there is a recommended version so you'll see a drop down in here that will say what's recommended. And so we suggest you choose the recommended option because we have tested and we find from a price performance point of view that is optimal. Of course, there could be exceptions where you want to use other models that you have access to, so that will show up here. I normally find that if I'm doing something and it doesn't quite do it the way I want it, then I'll use a more advanced model. So the mini is faster and cheaper. Of course, to you guys, the cost doesn't matter because Copilot comes with a whole bunch of tokens. In fact, we're going to be increasing the token limits for our Copilot users starting sometime next week. But you can use a more advanced version, and it'll give you better results. And with that, let me ask Dinesh to come and talk to us about his favorite function points in Copilot Chat.
Awesome. Thank you, Asif. So with Copilot Chat, there's a unlimited amount of things that you can do to help automate your activities and improve your entire requirements management process. But one use case we'll focus on today is document ingestion. Now, So with Copilot Chat here, we can provide a document as an input. And from there, we can prompt Copilot to go through this attachment and identify potential features that we can build. Copilot will go through that document and provide those suggestions accordingly. For each of these results, we can see at a very high level the title and description. And from this suggested list, we can revise, and from there, we can publish the work items into feature items in ADO. Once that's created, you can see the corresponding ID as well as a link to the work item with its published properties, title, and description. And from there, you can perform additional work from those created work items. So let's say we'd like to perhaps classify them in terms of development priority. We can have Copilot go through, assess, and prioritize these items, as well as publish this information back into a field called the priority field within your features. Now we've created features from our items, we've extracted them, analyzed them, and sequenced them into a development priority. And from there, we can continue to build additional work items. We can either create diagrams, we can further break them down into requirements, potential test cases directly from the chat session. Now for each of these features, we've updated the feature or the priority, and you're able to see that live in Azure DevOps. And on top of this, any interactions that you want to do or you want to have with Azure DevOps in terms of creating queries based on your selected items, or perhaps creating links from item to item or any field changes, all of that can be done through Copilot for DevOps. So that is one use case, providing your document and using that as a resource to help produce features or requirements or user stories or any work items in your project. With document ingestion, you're able to use this feature within chat to really automate the extraction and processing of information from documents, which significantly reduces time and effort so that you can reallocate that time and effort for more impactful activities. So that wraps up the demo of our use case for document ingestion. Aisha will share the next use case that can be done with Copilot Chat.
Thank you, Dinesh.
So in the first use case, I'll demonstrate how we can use AI chat to visualize, like to analyze a visual process flow diagram and then extract the actionable work items out of it. Like for example, drive the high level features from this particular diagram flowchart. And then in the second use case, using the AI chat will generate a dependency chart between these derived features so that you can have a better understanding of the implementation flow of all of the features at the earlier stage of your release plan. So I'm going to show you these two use cases. So let's begin with the uploading an image here and the instructions to the AI chat. Based on the uploaded image, drive the high level features for me and create work items in Azure DevOps. Ensure that each feature includes a description consisting of at least one well-written paragraph. Here you go. So while AI is analyzing the image and driving the features out of it, let me walk you through this a diagram. So as you can see that it's a typical end-to-end ticketing process flow, and it begins with submitting customer submitting the ticket, and which then flows through several stages, like including triage and prioritization, assignment, investigation, and eventually resolution or the escalation of a ticket. So for each of these stages, what AI chat will do, basically AI chat will identify the potential features for all of these stages, and show you like these features should be implemented, like. And like you can see the ultimate benefit here, that it eliminates a lot of manual effort that is traditionally required in converting the image to the backlog items in your Azure DevOps project. So this is the benefit. And as soon as the features will be generated, you will see that, like, as per the instruction, each feature will include the description that clearly explain the purpose, scope, and the context of the feature. So this is the ultimate benefit of the AI chat. So, like, features have been derived, and now the work items creation process is in progress. So we are just there. So as soon as the work items are created, I'll show you like each work item will have the title and description as per the instruction given to the AI chat. So let's wait for a moment. Yeah, it's almost there. So if I open any of the feature here, so you can see the title is there, and a comprehensive explanation is also added in this feature work item, and same case is with other features. Now I'll ask AI chat to model the dependencies between these derived features and create a diagram for visual representation. There you go. So, like, what AI chat will do, AI chat will process the logical flow between these features and create a dependency chart out of it, so that you can better understand the flow of all of the features. Like, it looks at like what features are foundational and which features rely on others, and then build a structure of chain of dependencies here. So you can see again the another benefit of AI chat is here, that this is incredibly useful, because as you know that in traditional planning, mapping relationships between the work items often involves a lot of whiteboarding sessions and the tweaking manually. With AI, you can automate that step, reduce errors or something. Oops. Okay, so I've tried it earlier as well, so I can show you like. Let me try it again. Yeah, so it's there basically. Let's try one more time. So once the diagram is generated, you can use this diagram to better understand that how these features interact to each other, in what order they should be built, and how to plan your sprints or releases accordingly. So at the early stage of your release plan, you can visualize, or you can like how just we do the roadmap manually, you can do it much faster because you have a clear visualization of all of the features and their relationships and the order of it, in what order they should be built. So let me show you the dependency plan here. So here you can see the diagram is there, and you can visually analyze all of these things. So those were the use cases I wanted to share with you today, and I hope you found them valuable and enjoyed it. So thank you. Over to you, Isha, if you are ready.
Yes, thank you so much, Hira. Hi, everybody. My name is Aisha, and I'm with the Professional Services Department at Modern Requirements. Very excited to walk through some of these phenomenal tools and functionalities that come with the AI chat function. Hopefully you can see my screen there. All right. As mentioned previously, you do have the ability to save your chats so you can always come back to them. What we've done here is we've asked the system to analyze work items associated with a particular ID in comparison to ISO 9001 standards. Now, you could replace this with any standard, any possible area that you want to evaluate your requirements against can be included here. We're also asking the system to present the findings in HTML table format and giving it just a little bit of information on how to display those suggestions. Now, the system has created an HTML table summarizing the analysis over here. And what we are seeing is the system has rated those work items out of 10, according to how well they match the standard. It's provided a reason for those ratings, some improvement suggestions, and it's even referencing the section of that ISO that could be used to cross-reference these results. And that's very beneficial because you could always go into these clauses and you could have a better understanding of why your work items have been rated a certain number in accordance with that quality standard. So in addition to being able to generate this analysis, you can perform a bulk update as well. So we've asked the system to update the work items in accordance with your suggestions. And it has now updated these particular work items that were used in the original evaluation in our system. So in this way, you're not only ensuring quality of your work items, but you're also having the system do the work for you of updating those particular work items. A very helpful tool. We've seen a lot of teams benefit from the ability to analyze large amounts of data. Right now, we've chosen 3 work items. However, you could have an entire query worth of data. You could have several work items be included in your bulk analysis, and it can include a gap analysis of many different types. Thank you for allowing me to share on this, and I will pass it back to Shihan.
Hey everyone, what did you think? Pretty interesting, right? On the top right corner of this window is book a demo. And so if you wanted to see something in particular, or you want to ask it your own questions, if you book a demo, we can walk you through that, answer some of your questions on a one-on-one basis. And we can also, if you're interested in playing with the tool itself, we actually do a trial as well. If you're an Azure DevOps user, even better. So with that being said, we do have a quick poll I'd like to launch. So if Nikhil, if you're able to launch the poll, that'd be great. In just a few moments now, the poll will launch, and we'll lock in some answers here. From there, we're going to do some of our Q&A. While we wait on the poll, let me share our contact information. So you can book a demo on the top right, or you can reach out to us directly at our website, or use the QR code to get to our website. We'd love to hear from you and set up some time. So let's kick off that poll. What's your favorite use case of AI chat from today's session? Nice, all of the above. Okay, we'll leave everyone a moment to lock those in. And for folks who are watching this session, watching the recording after the fact, and who are unable to join us today, I do recommend join our next session. We'll be having one soon. We'll be posting. Follow our website. Follow us on LinkedIn at Copilot4DevOps on LinkedIn, or myself, Sheehan Fernando, or Modern Requirements. We'll be posting when our next session is, and by joining, A, you can participate in these polls, but B, you can ask some of your questions live and see what the latest and greatest is available. If you're unable to join live because of time zone or whatever the case may be, by registering for the next demo, don't guarantee you'll get a link to the recording after the fact immediately. All right, let's take a look here. So in terms of the poll, okay, there's a split between creating work items. I mean, used AI to do that has been, I would say, a pillar of success from the inception of Copilot4DevOps when we launched it in 2023. Just now it's easier, particularly with AI chat, particularly with the ability to add documents and use bring your own data. Next, I would say is all of the above, of course. Thank you. And upload images and convert to work items. The beauty of this is that instead of using AI that's outside of your domain, and as an organization, how do you control if people are using ChatGPT? How do you guarantee training is turned off? With Copilot4DevOps using the API, training is turned off. You have the ability to bring your own data, and you have the ability to upload images and convert them into work items. So at this point, what I'd like to do is to ask to join me on stage, and let's field some of these questions. Okay. So first up, let's take a quick peek here. We have different people on different projects that could use Copilot4DevOps AI chat. If I share a chat, will those people have access to that chat? So if they're using chat and they share the chat, will multiple different people have access to that chat?
So yes, if you are sharing the chat, by the way, so yes, of course, others can see it as long as they are part of the same project. Okay, so the way we have done this with chat is, you can imagine you could have lots of people, lots of projects, lots of sharings that are happening, and you'll end up with a very large list of chats. Especially if you have a large organization. So what we did was we grouped the chats into teams. So every Azure DevOps team, including the main project, which is the main project team, has a collection of chats. So the chats are grouped by projects and teams. So as long as they're part of that project/team, they'll have access to it if you have shared it.
Okay, interesting. Thank you, Asif. Next question is an interesting one, and I think this is a distinction that we'll need to make very crisp. And Asif, the question is, so is this basically using Copilot AI, but then has the integration to add items to ADO?
No.
There you go. Go ahead. I'll let you elaborate.
It's not. We're not using Copilot AI. Now, of course, underneath the skin, everybody's using some sort of an LLM. And Modern Requirements provides two LLMs that we make available. We make available Azure AI as an LLM option and OpenAI as an LLM option. And even the Azure AI is generally predicated on an OpenAI model, but they have different hosting and have different management of it. Those are the two we provide. Now, the Copilot 365 uses the Azure AI itself. So Azure AI is the underlying model that we make available through Copilot for DevOps. Now,
Yeah.
having said that, you can use your own, you can bring your own LLM as well and configure so that you don't use our LLM, you'll use your own LLM. We provide you with, I think, something like 50 million tokens with our ultimate license, which is now going to go up to 75 million shortly. But there's a limit to that, right? So, but if you bring your own LLM, there is no limit to it. So some of our larger clients like to bring their own LLMs, and that's fine. Otherwise, you can use the tens of millions of tokens we provide within Copilot.
Yeah, thank you for that, Asif. And just to piggyback that one more item, the name is Copilot for DevOps, and sometimes people think that, oh, this is Copilot M365 for DevOps. No. So Copilot for DevOps is modern requirements, our IP. We worked in tandem with the AI transformation team at Microsoft, but it's completely separate to Copilot M365. So it's a separate subscription, it's a separate tool, it's a separate IP. And as you'll notice, and for the person who asked the question, the design of it and its user interface, in my opinion, is easier to use. There is no prompting options. There's obviously the AI chat function that we have now, but it's different than what you would see with Copilot M365. So I want to make that clear distinction that it's a different tool and utility altogether. Okay, this next question, Asif, you're going to like this one. When will this be released to current users?
Actually, we just released it yesterday. So you should have, if you go to, unless you have a private tenant. So if you're doing it on-prem or if you're on the cloud and you have a private tenant, then obviously that's up to you when you want to deploy the new version. But if you are on our SaaS model, it is actually available as we speak. It got launched yesterday. I think an email went out this morning, but it's available right now.
Yeah, and again, one additional thought on that. All of the latest and greatest, and as you see, we're on version 5 of Copilot for DevOps, and we're adding more complex and more interesting capabilities. You'll want to be at our Copilot Ultimate tier. Our Copilot Ultimate tier will allow you access to all of the capabilities. So depending on where your organization's at, where there's Copilot Lite, Copilot for DevOps Lite, which is part of the bundle of modern requirements suite of tools, you might have that version. If you have Copilot for DevOps Plus, then you would have additional capabilities that are available to you depending on what your organization has or what you have. And then Ultimate is the latest tier that we have, which unlocks everything, has the greatest amount of tokens, and will have all of these advanced capabilities. So that's something also to consider. If what you've seen today gets you excited, let us know. We're happy to set you up and get you upgraded. You can book a demo if you want to dig into some of those additional capabilities that are available now at the Ultimate level. And you can also trigger a trial of our top tier of Copilot for DevOps directly through the UI of the Copilot version that you have as well. So I just want to call out some of those ways to getting access. And if anything, just reach out to us. We'll happily walk you through what are the best next steps to get to the top level. Okay, next question. Oh, Nikhil, you dropped. And by the way, you can start a free trial using that link. As we start to approach the end of the hour, is there any thoughts, high-level vision as to where do you see this evolving to, and some of the capabilities that you're thinking about as we move forward?
Yeah. So guys, our mission with Copilot for DevOps is 10x productivity. So we want to help you produce 10x better. Okay. And what does that mean? Is it quantity? Is it quality? It's both. We want to increase your quantity/quality by 10x together. Okay. So if you consider this, let me share my screen. Okay. So if you Shan, you might need to stop sharing.
Yep.
Let me share my screen. Okay, so, by the way, there was a question about doing an analysis of duplicate work items.
Oh,
So
yes.
I did that. What I did was I went to the backlog, I selected all the work items in my sprint, and I said, which of these items are duplicate? And I told him to score it on a scale of 1 to 10. And it told me what are the similarity score, which are the items. And then it told me that these two work items are highly similar. Okay. These are related under a common theme, but they focus on different aspects. Okay. So yes, you can actually give it your product spec or your backlog or whatever, your query items, and say, hey, you know what? Find things that are similar, and you can even be very nuanced in terms of how you want it to analyze and what it should give you. Okay. But the earlier point I was making about a 10x productivity was if you look at the function points the tool provides, if you look at Elicit, for example, and you're going to go define your features, your stories, your test cases, and so on, you'll find that this thing actually gives you nearly 10x productivity today when you're defining requirements. Okay. You might also find that when you're analyzing things, it again might provide enormous amount of productivity, right? Or if you're trying to do an impact assessment, or you're trying to rewrite your requirements in Gherkin, or you want to do advanced analysis, the dynamic prompt is not only a 10x, it's probably 100x productivity, because you can give it complex analysis to do comparing your product specification compared to a client requirement and get a detailed analysis on what's there, what's not, and how to fill in the gaps. Okay. And so on and so forth. So in our mission for 10x productivity, I think to a great extent, we have achieved that mission. However, there's a lot more that can be done. My expectation is that by year end this year, we should be at a point where we can where we can say that across the board, we can provide 10x productivity for product owners, for BAs, for QA people who are writing test cases and test scripts, and for product or project managers and team leads. Okay. That's our goal for this year. For next year, the goals are loftier, but we won't get to that. But let's get through this year. I think you'll love what we are doing. But you know what's really important is the feedback you're giving us. So a lot of the work we do is because you tell us what you need us to do, and we tend to pivot based on client feedback. So please keep your feedback, your requests coming in, so that we can meet, if not exceed, your needs.
Thank you, Asif. And for folks, thank you for joining us live. And for folks who are watching the After Fact, thank you for taking the time out of your day and seeing what's available. I do encourage you to follow us on LinkedIn, Modern Requirements, or Copilot4DevOps. Lastly, we actually are participating in a few live events coming up in June. We are going to be at BA World in Toronto, Infotech Live in Las Vegas, and BBC 2025 Building Business Capabilities in 2025 in Phoenix in June as well. So if you're going to be at any of those conferences, come by our booth, say hi. We'd love to talk to you in person. With that, thank you everyone for joining, and have a great rest of your day. Cheers.